Last night's elections were pretty awful for Republicans. Bill de Blasio, who's probably the least impressive mayor in the United States, easily won another term in New York City. Democrats took the New Jersey governor's mansion, installing yet another Goldman Sachs alum in a position of political power. In Washington state, Democrats won the Senate and with it total control of state government. But Republicans had their very worst night in Virginia. Ralph Northam beat former RNC chairman Ed Gillespie by almost 9 points. That's 3 points more than Hillary Clinton's performance in Virginia last fall. It's almost 7 points ahead of Governor Terry McAuliffe's win 4 years ago in Virginia. Yesterday morning, to put it into perspective, Republicans had 2/3 of Virginia's House of Delegates. Now, depending on how a few races shake out, Democrats could have a majority. It was a rout. How did it happen? Well, Donald Trump is unpopular in Virginia, and that's definitely part of the reason. But it's not the whole story. Democrats won after embracing the dark side of American politics, exploiting racial fears and deepening tribal divisions. In real life, Ed Gillespie was a pro-immigration moderate. By the end of the race, Democrats and their reliable allies in the press were dismissing him as a white supremacist. Northam's allies ran the single ugliest political ad in living. The ad didn't make a political argument. It didn't take a position on taxes or crime or the environment or schools or anything that might make the state or the country a better place. Its only purpose was to terrify and divide. This is the politics of racial hatred. Vote for me because the other guy wants to murder your kids. Our opponent isn't misguided. He's evil. There's no defending an ad like that, but Democrats did it anyway. In a normal party, someone with perceived moral authority would have stepped forward to denounce the ad. Barack Obama, maybe, or Bill and Hillary Clinton. But all of them were silent and allowed the race baiting to continue in Virginia, and it did. This is an ominous development in American politics precisely because it worked so well. Democrats across the country inevitably will imitate what just happened in Virginia, and they'll probably win a bunch of races as a result. You'd think they'd care about the consequences of sowing racial division in an already racially divided country, but they care about winning more. Northam's victory tells you a lot about the Democrat strategy going forward. The party has all but stopped making rational arguments or even trying to win swing voters over to its positions. That's time-consuming. It requires compromise. It's much easier just to change the composition of the voter base. More than 50 years after Ted Kennedy's Immigration Act, it's no longer even necessary for Democrats to win native-born middle-class Americans who work in the private sector, so they stopped trying. Virginia has transformed politically because it has been transformed demographically. For example, in 1970, 1% of that state was born outside the United States. Today, that number is 12%. 12% of Virginia is foreign-born, and that has made all the difference. So if you're wondering why the idea of national borders is suddenly so unpopular among Democratic office holders, if you're wondering why the deadly plague of opiate addiction in Middle America causes barely a stir in Washington, now you know the answer. They're not their base anymore. They've replaced you. Well, you shouldn't get too apocalyptic about any one election result, though today marks the one-year anniversary of what is, pretty much beyond a doubt, the most remarkable election result of the past 40 years. It turned out to be a humbling event for the press, which went into the race absolutely to a person believing Hillary Clinton could not lose.
Not only does Florida fall to Hillary Clinton, but this election overall we could be talking landslide.
Trump is headed for a historic defeat.
I think that she's going to have a very good night.
I continue to believe Mr. Trump will not be president. And the reason is because I have a lot of faith in the American people.
You'll be shocked to learn that Bret Stephens was wrong, and everyone else, too. These experts and some celebrities showed what they thought of the result and the American people's choice immediately upon learning about it. Watch.
America is crying tonight. I'm not sure how much of America, but a very, very significant portion, and I mean literally crying.
Deeper concerns tonight that the world's shining light of democracy has gone dark.
Because I'm on this now. Despair, desperate even, almost clinging to me.
You have people putting children to bed tonight, and they're afraid of breakfast. They're afraid of, how do I explain this to my children?
That's a pretty extraordinary thing to say. if you have a son in the Marine Corps and that you don't trust the commander-in-chief. The people in the military defend the Constitution.
The message that I want to spread out to other women is exactly what you're saying, is not to give up. Sorry, I hate crying.
She deserves to be the first female president. And that's what makes me so sad.
Anybody but Donald Trump. Anyone.
Well, the ruling class was hysterical. Thought we'd remind you of that. Why were they? Because it all disempowered them. They thought they were in charge and found out they weren't. Remember that. Well, a powerful liberal group says it's time to remove the Star-Spangled Banner as the national anthem. Why? We'll talk to someone who agrees with that call next.